Now, some of you may already know what the histogram is, and if that's the case, you might want to skip over this lesson and move to other subject matter. But for those of you who do not know what the histogram is, and also the issue with the blinkies that we recommended on your camera settings, this will explain everything, okay? So we're actually going to address two of the camera settings that we recommended to you, and that is this one, highlight alert, or the blinkies being on your display, and the other one is second from the bottom, histogram display set on brightness. So let's go ahead and navigate now to DxO Optics Pro 11 and examine the histogram and what it tells you. Okay, here we are in DxO, and we've got these 5 thumbnail images here at the bottom. This one all the way over to the brightest of the series of 5 right here. And we're looking at the darkest one first, and you'll notice that this has a white glow in certain dark areas of the image. And if I come up here to the histogram display and disconnect this little label right there, then I can get rid of that warning. These are what are known as the blinkies. Now, they're not going on and off as they would on the back of your camera on your LCD display on your camera, but it's the same basic concept. Now, let's take a look at the histogram here, and let me show you what it's telling you. It's telling you that this is a severely underexposed image, which it obviously is. The left side of the graph represents the darkest areas of the image, and then we move to the right to the brightest areas of the image. And your goal is to get this little white graph as far over to the right as you can without actually touching it. Because when you touch the right areas of the graph, you're blowing out or you are overexposing certain portions of the image and losing all the detail. All you have there is solid white. So it's kind of a balancing act to get that graph as far to the right as you possibly can. Let's go ahead and quickly cycle through these images so I can demonstrate to you how that works. So here's the darkest of the 5 images. This is the next one. And see how the graph moves to the right as we increase our brightness from one image to the next. And we have that one. And this one right here seems to be the one that native out of the camera is exposed correctly. In other words, we're almost touching the right edge of this graph, telling us we haven't overexposed any areas of the image. And then conversely, if we go to the left side of the image and we see that the graph has come off the edge ever so slightly, we do still have all of the detail in the dark areas of the image down here. Now, we'll defer our discussion of how to extract that detail later, but this is just to show you what the histogram is and what it's representing. Now, the histogram itself, don't worry about. Don't get hung up on the shape of it. Don't get hung up on how tall these spikes are. The only thing you care about is that the graph itself is moving as far to the right as you can without actually touching that right side. Now let's take a look at what your histogram is going to look like when your image is overexposed. And what I've done on this series is that I've exposed shots for the sky to get the sky perfectly exposed, which I have done in this particular frame. The next frame is brighter in an effort to try to bring some more detail out of these dark areas. And you'll notice this little area right here that is showing overexposed in the blue spectrum. And if I disconnect this little indicator light, you can see how that shows me what's going on. Now let's go to the brightest of the series of images, and you can see that there's massive overexposure occurring in the sky, but the foliage down below here is looking rather nice. And so what you have is that this area here in the histogram is showing you the brightness of the foliage. So what I'm going to do, obviously, in post is combine these two images so that we have this image or this image combined with the foliage or the foreground in this image to make what's known as a balanced dynamic range. But let's refocus our attention here on just what the histogram is. And you'll notice on the right side of the image, we've got all of this brightness that's slammed against the right side of the graph. And that's showing us we have massive areas of overexposure. The reds are overexposed, the yellows, the blues, and then the absolute brightness is overexposed here too. Now let's look at some of the information that's available in the histogram and look right over here on these RGB labels. If I click on RGB, you see the appearance of the histogram changes to separate the greens, the blues, and the reds. If I click only the red, I can see exactly how the red is being represented. The green is also in there, as well as the blue all by itself. If I click L, that is strictly luminosity, and that's what you care about most of all. So what this means to you when you're shooting is that you want to set your camera to display the histogram, and then there's a separate setting that you'll want to set for the blinkies, okay? Now every camera is different, so I can't show you how to do that on your camera. Get your owner's manual, look up highlight alert. It's not going to be under blinkies, that's the vernacular, but look under highlight alert, how to set that on, and then when you shoot and you look at the LCD screen after the shot appears, it'll blink where it's overexposed or underexposed, as the case may be. And that's how to very quickly use the histogram in combination with the highlight alert or the blinkies to very quickly make sure that you're getting the right exposure in the field.